Hi everyone. It's been a while since I've posted a video. It's been a rough few months here. In addition to the normal holiday hecticness and busy seasons with work and school and just family obligations, we've also had some losses, some expected, some unexpected, and some minor emergencies. Everybody's okay, but, still stressful. And between all that added stress and grief, I just haven't had the energy to record anything. So the YouTube has taken a little bit of a back seat, and I'm finally getting back round to it. We're kind of recovering and getting on the back end of this, but I don't have any new footage. So I took inspiration from one of my subscribers who asked a question about how I take my inspiration and turn it into a finished project. So that's what this video is. I'm using some old footage. It's a little incomplete, but please bear with me. And I hope you enjoy this little insight into my creative process. I'm going to go over how I designed my signature plaid that you see in all my videos. This was my first solo project without any input from my mentors. And around the same time, I found this excerpt called November 22nd by Parker J. Palmer. And it compares life to weaving, and I found it really beautiful, and I wanted to use it as my inspiration. November 22nd. On this day, long years ago, our promising young president was killed. He was far too young to die, and I too young to watch my world unravel as it did. I grieved my loss, our loss, then started to reweave a work, a life, a world, not knowing then what I know now. The world unravels always, and it must be rewoven time and time again. You must keep collecting threads, threads of meaning, threads of hope, threads of purpose, energy, and will, along with all the knowledge, skill that every weaver needs. You must keep on weaving, stopping sometimes only to repair your broken loom. Weave a cloak of warmth and light against the dark and cold, a cloak in which to wrap whoever comes to you in need, the world with all its suffering, those near at hand, yourself. And if you are lucky, you will find along the way the thread with which you can reweave your own tattered life, the thread that more than any other laces us with warmth and light, making both the weaver and the weaving true. The red thread they call love, the thread you hold, then hand along, saying to another, you. So the first thing I needed to do was decide on my threads of meaning, hope, purpose, energy, will, and love. And I looked up some of the traditional meanings of colors to help me decide that. My thread of meaning is blue. Blue represents truth and honesty, and things have meaning when they're true. My thread of hope is yellow, which represents new days and beginnings, like a sunrise. My thread of purpose is purple, drawing from royalty's purpose to rule and to serve. I was also watching a lot of The Crown at this time, so I took some cues from Queen Elizabeth II saying that her purpose was to serve her country. My thread of energy is green to represent plants making energy and growth. And my thread of will is orange because orange represents passion. And I always think if you have a strong will about something, you're pretty passionate about it. And of course, we have the red thread of love as it's described in the reading. The next step was designing the plaid layout, and so I did a lot of looking at tartans and other plaids to kind of pick out the things I liked and what I wanted to include. I wanted to be sure that the red thread was a consistent foundation. It's kind of the thing that ties everything together in the reading. So I decided that that was going to be a 2-inch square grid kind of overlaying everything. I was going to be weaving this as a demonstration at a Renaissance festival, which means I need to be able to manage lots of frequent interruptions. Most tartans and plaids are a plain 2-2 twill, which is easy enough. And I decided to make all of my color groups in groupings of fours, eights, 12s, things like that. That means that all my treadlings would be complete at the end of every color change, and it would make it easy for me to count my threads, know where I needed to change colors, find where I was in the pattern, things like that. I don't have a lot of pictures of me actually trying out different plaids. I did finally land on I liked each color to appear 3 times. Uh, just it looked nice and balanced to my eye. These are some of the few reiterations I tried in my design software. You could see there were tiny differences, there were big differences. I wish I had some of the pictures that I started out with because they were very different at the beginning, but I didn't save those pictures because I didn't like them. It became very apparent very early on that with this many colors, I needed to pick colors that would all work well together and not just clash like something god awful. This process took a long time. I decided to go with pastel colors because they all have similar undertones and they can blend well together. I used a technique my mentor showed me of taking a photo and turning it to the black and white photo. Then you can see what the gray scale of a color is, what the undertone of a color is. And if they are similar, they will blend well. If they are very different, they will stand out. You can see here that the red really stands out. It's a lot bolder than the other colors. I didn't care for the more mustard yellow when I was putting it in my program, so I went with the paler yellow. It also stands out, but I think it's a nice highlight contrast to the dark red. And this was the design I finally settled on in my iWeave It app. And once I had my design settled, I was ready to start measuring out my warp. This part was a little tedious because each color section has a different number of threads. So I made myself a little paper chart that I could check off uh, each section as I did it and then check off as I was finished with the repeats. I kind of put some pictures together to get an idea of what it would look like on the loom, and I really liked that. And once I had all the sections of my warp measured and chained up, it's ready to put on the loom. We put the cross through the least sticks. I slayed the reed. I warp front to back, so I go reed first, and then we do the heddles. This was 720 threads, so those heddles took a little while. Um, this is it fully threaded, and then we tie on to the back apron. And this is my homemade tensioning system, just some wooden dowels. We started the wind on. I use window blind slats as my warp separators. They work great. Then this is tying on to the front and tensioning, and this is the warp on the loom. So I don't have any pictures of the first time I started weaving this, but here's the story. This is where the problem started. So as I started weaving this, every advance, the right side of the warp started getting tighter and tighter, and the left side was getting looser and looser. And it just kept getting worse. I was only able to do about 3 advances, which is not very far. It's only about this little 8-inch section of cloth. And it got so bad I couldn't continue. I didn't know what was going on. My mentors didn't know what was going on. And we finally just decided to cut this off the loom and take the warp off and rebeam it, retension everything. You can see in this picture how badly off it was from the very short fringe to the very long fringe. So we pulled everything off. We redid the tensioning. We redid the beaming. This was on a Leclerc Artisat, which is a folding loom. And as we were doing that, I think, this is my suspicion, I don't think the back beam was locked all the way into place the first time I tensioned the warp and beamed the warp. So I think as I was winding on, it was slightly crooked the whole way, which led to the warp getting different tension when that beam later on clicked into place. After we redid it, the warp was perfect. It worked beautifully the rest of the season and for the rest of the length of the warp. And I got over 5 yards of fabric in this beautiful plaid. It worked out better than I hoped. It was gorgeous. I got compliments on it all season long. And I'm very happy with it. I'm planning to turn this fabric into a kilted skirt for myself to wear to festivals that I can say I made it myself. And it's now my signature plaid that you see on every one of my videos. I'm looking forward to doing more of these inspiration videos. This was fun, and I hope you enjoyed it. Thanks for watching, and happy weaving.
Oh, Danny boy, the pipes are calling from glen to glen and down the mountainside. The summer's gone and all the roses falling. It's you must go and I must bide. But come ye back when summer's in the meadow, or when the valley's hushed and white with snow. I'll be here in sunshine or in shadow. Oh, Danny boy, I love you so. But when ye come and all the flowers are dying, if I am dead as dead I will maybe, you'll come and find the place where I am lying, and kneel and say an Ave there for me, and I shall hear those soft you tread above me, and oh my grave will warm a sweeter beat, for you will bend and tell me that you love me. Oh, Danny boy. Oh, Danny boy. Danny boy. Oh, Danny boy. Danny boy. Danny I shall sleep in peace until you come to